what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
I'm with the band. Music and interviews you're going to like.
They say that time heals all wounds. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Well, there's got to be a reason why a woman like you is with a man like me. I can't promise you all that.
Hello and welcome back to I'm with the band here on the Mesh Podcast Network. I'm with the band has been on a brief hiatus, and we're thrilled to get back this podcast back up and running full steam today with our guest Tony Eltora. Tony was born in Pennsylvania, raised in Richmond, and has made his home here in Hickory. He has quite a story which we were going to get into later, but fast forward to today. Tony's the executive director of the Hickory Music Factory. He's molding minds of the youth of Hickory, North Carolina, to be musicians and quite the music listeners as well. So he's here today on I'm with the band supporting his new album Virginia. Thanks, Tony.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Molding minds, I feel like a mad scientist or something, you know.
Yeah.
I just had this image, you know, but no, hopefully it's molding for the positive.
Right, yeah.
Know?
Be careful with those mushy minds, man.
Well,
you can get them how you want them if you're not careful.
Oh, yeah.
Right on. So tell us a little bit, since we're rolling right into the Hickory Music Factory, for folks that aren't really familiar, won't you give our listeners a little insight of what Hickory Music Factory is?
Sure. So I guess about 8 years ago, probably prior to that, but me and a local drum teacher, Rick Klein, which people know here in the area, we were just two teachers at two different music stores, and in efforts to kind of get our students to play together. He's a drum teacher, I was a guitar teacher. To get them to connect together, we started doing student concerts and things like that. And then we kind of realized there was a need not being met in our community. So we had the idea to start this music school, you know, and we really didn't know. We had no idea it would take off like this, but it's truly amazing. But we just started putting the work behind it, and had some meetings with the city, and the city's been so awesome letting us use one of their facilities. And so we're kind of through Parks and Recreation, but now we're at the old J.C. Park building, and which used to be the Miracle of Hickory back in the 40s. Was like the polio hospital is how it made famous. Sure, you know. And I had some concerns, you know, when I learned, I was like, am I going to catch polio teaching in here? No. But it's such an amazing place, and we've been in this building 7 years now, and actually 5 years. The organization is officially started in 2012, and but it's just amazing organization that it's kind of grown into, and we have over 15 teachers now. We teach roughly 150 kids a week through our programs and our lessons, and you know, we do a lot of outreach programs in the community, and so it's just really, we never thought it would get this far, you know, but we're really tickled that where it is.
Right, and getting good community support too.
Oh, that's the thing. Is like, I mean, you could love it, you could think it's the best idea in the world, but if the community doesn't want to get behind it, and that's been the real pleasure behind it, is like there's so many generous people in our community, you know, and that just they're just behind the idea, you know. And last year we did a big renovation on the building and raised about $60,000.
Crazy.
And I was just amazed that people, you know, that's a lot of money. I mean, for me it is.
For anybody right
but
now.
I mean, but we were just very humbled with the whole process, and we're just trying to keep it growing. So
right. How many kids do you have right now?
So about average between our private lessons and our after-school programs, we do about 150 kids that come through a week.
Wow.
And then annually through all our programs that we do at our facility and then in the community, we probably reach about 20,000 people in our community, which is it's pretty impressive for a small little organization, you know. So
yeah, for sure.
Once again, man, it's just great. But I mean, people could go online and check us out at hickorymusicfactory.com.
There you go.
just check out where we're at, what we're doing.
Way to donate on that.
Oh, there's
website.
a donate button right there on the front page.
Gotcha. That's cool. So, moving into the album, I know, but from your bio, you were raised in Richmond, and
Yeah.
A lot of Virginia ties to this. Just a personal favorite, in the CD itself has a cardinal on it, and it's that. I mean, I'm kind of a dork, but cardinals are my favorite birds, and I love that. That's fantastic. It's the state bird of North Carolina. Is it also the state bird of Virginia?
Yes.
Is it? We're just going to share that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm I guess a deep thinker, so of course everything to me has to have some sort of a purpose or meaning, and so there is a lot of ties to the cardinal. Also, it's state bird of Virginia and North Carolina, but also I found this out over the summer. I was sitting on my back deck, and I was noticing all these redbirds around it, more than I've noticed ever in years, and I was telling my fiance about it, and I was like, it's so strange, all these redbirds. And she was like, well, isn't it an old wives' tale that it means that there's spirits around? So kind of Googled it and found out that apparently that the old wives' tale, I don't know what you say, but
Wives' tale?
Wives' tale,
yeah.
Is that they are, yes, there is a spirit around, and I always think of, when I think of spirits, I just think of my brother. My brother passed away about 20 years ago, and so I always related to him. So it was kind of like this good juju, good vibe kind of I was feeling from it, and I was like, well, that just makes perfect sense to have kind of like a logo, So I went with the cardinal.
So listening to it, there's a lot of references to the state, to your travels, to there, to there's all that. What was your inspiration behind that? Was it your brother, or is it a former woman in your life, if you will?
Oh God, well, it's just kind of like for this album, it was just kind of it's one of those albums I wanted each song to kind of. I wanted the album to tell a story through this little moment in time in my life. Mm-hmm. A moment in time in my life, meaning like the past 20 years,
Sure.
So it just kind of gave me a focus. But there was a lot of stuff that happened in 20 years,
Right.
And I did live in Virginia, and I moved away from Virginia because I needed to get away from Virginia.
Sure, absolutely.
So so I moved down to North Carolina, and I had some personal issues, going through some substance abuse issues when I was younger, and
you've been sober for how long now?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years, yeah.
So I moved down here to check myself into a recovery house, and I said, you know what? I fought it tooth and nail, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do my 4 months, and I'm going to come back home. And that's been 20 years later. I'm still here. So
that's right.
So it's been, and that place is it's a wonderful place. It's called the Caldwell House. It's up in Lenore, and it's a great recovery house. And I still help them out and support them. And so there's a lot of dealing with personal issues like my brother passing away and me getting sober, and relationship issues, and there's all that's kind of packed into there. And so, it's I've enjoyed doing it because it's such a, me for a while. I come from more of this, when I was, 20 years ago, I was more into jam bandy, progressive music, and I've been slowly starting to dabble more into just writing a good song, Right. It doesn't have to be so complex, just write a good song.
Right, yeah. And Virginia's a real good song, and we're going to listen to it.
Cool.
So
Thanks.
here it is. Yeah.
Early in the morning, the world is slowly dawning. Cold pavement guides my way. I'm going to see Virginia and love that I remember, and give thanks to the land I stay. But I'm surrounded by these Cadillacs and diesels on the highway. Lord, get out of my way. The sign on the road says the future is now. Well, Virginia, I'm on my way. She works in the city, she lives in the country, and her parents are divorced. Down in the bottom streets of cobblestone and squatters, yeah, is where that action stirs. She took my heart and showed me what true love was. Yeah, the fever burned. Well, things were different ever since that day. Well, Virginia, I'm on my way. Oh, Virginia, I'm on my way. Virginia, I'm on my way. Well, she moves quiet, real quiet in the night. Yeah, she moves quiet, quiet in the night. Well, we only get one chance at this life, yeah, you get what you earn. Old and lonely, yeah, but wait your turn. Well, we might get lost on the streets some days. Oh, but that's okay. The sign on the road says the future is now. Well, Virginia, I'm on my way. 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 Oh, Virginia, I'm on my way.
And we're back. That's Tony Eltora's Virginia. So, Tony, we were talking before the music break about your journey in the last 20 years and how this album tells that story. Can you kind of elaborate more into that? How this album came about? And I know we said off mic that some of these songs are almost 20 years old.
Oh yeah.
And then you went back in the studio and you reworked them and all that. I was listening to this on a car ride yesterday, and the musicians that you have on the album, I get tingly. They're like really super good. Not you, of course, but your supporting cast, and I'm just going to throw him out there. Elon, I've known that dude forever. How do you pronounce his name? I think I get it wrong every time.
Jordan Dunlap.
Yeah,
Elon Jordan Dunlap.
Right. Yeah. He bass guitar player, really good. Also plays with Jonathan Scales' Orchestra.
Yeah.
Marcus Harmon on sax, Kurt Strantzer on drums, Liam Bailey on violin, and Alan Mearns on some vocal tracks there too.
Yeah.
That's an all-star lineup you got there, buddy.
Oh yeah, I've been fortunate to be around in the music business for enough years, and I haven't burned bridges, so I can, I tell,
you haven't fired enough guys.
I tell like when I'm teaching students, I tell them all the time, like even if you are great, don't let your ego get so big that you squash relationships, so that because those relationships will get you farther than your talent probably will most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing I've learned over the years.
Not what you know, it's who you know. Right?
Oh yeah, and so I've been very fortunate to know a lot of these players. Some of them teach at the Hickory Music Factory, like Liam and Elon. Kurt was actually a former student of Rick Klein's, and he just turned 22, which is kind of cool because I'm 42. He could probably be my. Right. He can be my son, I guess.
You were writing all those songs as he was growing up.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. So it's kind of cool to share shared a stage and shared a studio with Kurt.
Yeah. He's in the Moon Unit, and they're a progressive rock and roll band out of Hickory, Chapel Hill areas.
Yeah,
They're touring. They're doing it hard. They played at Thanksgiving with us, and I was blown away by those guys.
It's cool to see. Once again, they kind of remind me when I was younger what I was doing, and but he just has a great feel, and I thought he'd be a good drummer for this album. And then Marcus, I've been working with him for a few years down in Charlotte, and we just connect well live, and on stage, and our ideas are very similar. So, and then I recorded at Blue Moon Sound Lab here in Hickory with Luke Valcourt and Alan Mearns is they're partners in it, and
both great musicians in their own right.
Oh my God, Alan, yeah, Luke is a whiz at just studio editing. I mean, it's just so nice to work with somebody that just. It's almost like cerebral. Like, he knows how to fix my mistakes before I even tell him to fix my mistakes, you know? And then Alan's such a great musician, but he also has great ideas in the studio and great composer. So, yeah, this was a lot of fun. It was a lot low stress, this album. We really tried to... My idea of going into it was just kind of have this feel of just how I used to listen to music and how... Everything was kind of cut live in the studio together, and with bleed over through other instruments, and even your mistakes are on there. Some of my favorite parts of songs are mistakes.
They say if you play a mistake twice, it's genius. Right?
Oh yeah, well,
or something like that.
There's a few mistakes on there.
I didn't catch any of them, man. I thought it was, but put together. Unbelievable. I thought the musical breaks in between verses and the segues in between bridges and verses were they were great, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Really cool. The horn violin. It was weird. I think you probably do this too. I try to do it at the shows that I play. You try to give something for everybody in there. And, you catch in your album, you catch Americana, you catch a bluegrass, you catch a lot of funk, and all the way down. You even get there's some vocal effects that you use on a few of those songs that are, hit that spacey vibe that you were talking about earlier. You can definitely, I can hear all your influences in that, man. I think.
Yeah, I think compared to my first album, the first album I did was more of I needed to get, for my whole life I've been the guitar player for a band. I've never been front person for a band, so I felt like there was some stuff over the years I needed to just kind of get off my chest, And then this one was definitely more of a cohesive, fine-tuned idea, but you talking about the Liam's violin versus Marcus's sax. That was kind of a happy accident, because Liam helped me co-write some of these tunes, and he has an album coming out, and he's an amazing songwriter.
Right.
But listening to the horn and the fiddle play off each other in Virginia was just a cool sound. I was like, so we did it again in A Woman Like You, or You Gotta Go Away. And it was just a really cool vibe. So, yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Nice. Nice.
Hey, this is Alan from the Foot Candle Films podcast. Interested in promoting your business or event to an online audience? Consider advertising on the Mesh Podcast Network. Head over to themesh.tv for details.
So this album, when you were putting it together, I know you mentioned you were trying to tell a story. Is this chronological?
No, not necessarily. I toyed with the idea of kind of doing it that way, but
yeah, that's a great idea. If there's musicians out there, that's a really
yeah. I mean, so part of it was just you wanted to kind of be. I wanted to set the scene with Virginia because that's really encompasses the whole album. It's just kind of Virginia is just about the journey, and me just kind of looking back from where I am now, where I was, and just this spirit of it all, and then from there it just kind of tells the story of just what I've been doing for 20 years, and but to put it in chronological order, it has to listen well, and I could have put it in chronological order, but it just wouldn't have listened well on the album, I like for songs to kind of flow, ebbs and flows, and
segue one into one another. Yeah.
So I toyed with the idea, but that's still an idea that I have out there that I might do for something else, But,
right.
But no, it's just it's not chronological. So.
Right. So we're going to hear Tony play another one. It's called Searching for a Miracle.
Well, I'm searching for a miracle. I got to keep the faith. Well, I've been searching for a long time, honey, but I've never been saved. In my mind keeps pulling me backwards to the days that are long gone past, and I'm searching for a miracle. Yeah, now every day. Walking down Main Street, watching cops on their beat, well, thinking to myself, yeah, will I be pushing time? And I'm searching for a miracle. Yeah, I've got to keep the faith. Well, I've been searching for a long time, honey, but I've never been saved. There are times I struggle for a reason, yeah, to heaven to hope. Friends are saying, give it one more try, yeah, I'll help you fill that hole. And I'm searching for a miracle. Yeah, I've got to keep the faith. Well, I've been searching for a long time, honey, but I've never been saved. And I'm searching for a miracle. Yeah, I've got to keep the faith. I've been searching for a long time, honey, but I've never been saved.
And we're back here on I'm with the Band with Tony Eltora. That was Searching for a Miracle. And Tony, you know, going through the website on looking at your bio, it seems like you've had a crazy adventure in the last 20 odd years or so. Mm-hmm. I know that it said that I think there was some back alley references.
Oh yeah,
in your bio, and moving hours, 8 hours away, or how far Richmond is away from you to come to the Caldwell house. Like, there must have been some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up as a kid, you always say, oh, I'll never do that, and then next thing you know, well, I'll never do that, and before you know it, I'll just set the premise. I mean, I grew up in a great, loving, supportive family, and I could probably count on my hand the times I've seen my father drink. My mom never drinks.
Right.
And
same.
So to have three sons kind of battle with addiction, was kind of abnormal for most families. But I watched my older brothers go through it, and I said I would never be like that. But next thing you know, I kind of followed right in their footsteps, and from smoking pot to taking LSD, then next thing you know, it's like, I'm hooked on heroin,
Right.
and things went downhill, fairly quickly, and when I guess I started doing heroin when I was probably 18, and within, those, I got sober when I was 22. So within those 4 years, I mean, multiple trips to treatment, dropping out of school, not having a place to stay, so it's
it wraps you, man.
Oh yeah. And it, a lot of my friends I grew up with in school, I mean, I would get calls and they would drop them like flies. I mean, I have a lot of friends that aren't with us anymore and are in jail, and so it's just a miracle that I'm here today, and healthy, and I just look at it as I've had a second chance to kind of, to do something with my life. So that's why, playing music, working at Hickory Music Factory, those things are really, close to my heart. So
right. Having an addiction like that, it's from what I understand and what I've been through personally as well. It's you look for other things to throw yourself into, and I think Hickory's really lucky that you decided to throw yourself into the Hickory Music Factory.
I'm an addict at everything I do.
Right.
I realized that through this journey, for good and bad, and there's so I could be addicted to anything, and but yeah, so I just throw my addiction more into my work nowadays, and even that could be a challenge. I need time to take care of myself too, and but for many years I didn't talk about it because it was just you don't want people. There was a taboo about addiction, but I feel like people in society nowadays is just more open to hearing it, that drug addicts and alcoholics aren't bad people. They're sick people. They have an illness. But doesn't mean they're bad people.
Right.
So
what I think, a lot of folks on the other side that say, addiction's a choice and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, it is a choice maybe at the onset, but you weren't planning on your brain chemistry to absolutely flip upside down and take over your life. And that's what happens with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I remember somebody telling me a long time ago, you just don't have willpower, And I was like, and then this other guy chimed up in the conversation. He's like, well, why don't you eat you a bar of X-Lax and see how much willpower you got, Yeah. It's like sometimes your body just doesn't have, your body goes through changes chemically that it just, yes, you lose the power of choice, and it's not a willpower issue. It's to me, it's more of a spiritual issue. It's more of a, doing drugs and alcohol wasn't my problem. That was my solution to my other problems.
Sure.
I didn't know how to deal with life on life's terms, and so that's how I dealt with, feelings of insecurity or fears or self-centeredness, or being resentful. I dealt with that by using drugs and drinking,
Right.
So you take that away, and then it's like, oh shit, everything's real. Now I have to really deal with, how do I deal with fears? How do I? And so 20 years later, I feel like I've gotten a better handle on it. But that's the reality of it. Some people think that you just quit, shooting up heroin and drinking, and things
just like that.
Things get better.
Just like that. Yeah.
No. It's just like it's a lifelong process.
Right.
So, but
during that time, were you writing music? Were you playing music?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, it's funny because when I came down here to the Caldwell House, I had a friend of mine's guitar that I kind of stole from him. I mean, I say I borrowed
Long-term
it.
borrowed.
I borrowed it.
I got a guitar in my house that's like that too.
But I didn't have much of anything.
Right.
I mean, my parents said, they gave me, a couple $100 to check myself in, and they're like, that's it. I had a car and had a guitar and a couple $100 to check myself into the Caldwell House. And I just really thought that I was never going to play music again because I always associated playing music like you have to be hammered to play music.
Right.
That's how you really get really inspired,
Yeah. Man.
And then but if you've been here long enough, there used to be a coffee house. It was Drips.
Yeah.
Yep. And so after, like on the weekends, they would have like this open mic night, and I started just kind of going down there and just playing, because it was like a safe place. It was, just coffee house. They didn't serve alcohol or anything. And I found that I still enjoyed it, So, yeah, I really didn't think I was going to play music ever again, but it just kind of worked out that way. And there are most of my musician friends, they're more sober musician friends that I have today than,
Surely.
But it was just that perception that I had as a kid, So,
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of those songs. I mean, I've been playing music since I was 11, and so a lot of my early songs, I was always writing. I was never that. I think I picked up the guitar because I wanted to be like most kids, like Eddie Van Halen, and Randy Rhoads and Jimmy Page and what my brothers were listening to, and but I lost interest real quick in that. Like, I could spend 3 months trying to learn an Eddie Van Halen solo, or I could just write songs, And I've always just been enjoying the process of writing music, whether people liked it or not. It was something that I always enjoyed, so I still enjoy it today,
How many do you have left in your back pocket?
Oh,
are you ready to go again?
Yeah, I'm ready to go in the studio and do another album. I mean, it's funny because, like, you put all your heart and soul into one album, but I've been listening to this album for intensely, probably for about 8 months. So
sick of it.
So I'm not gonna say I'm sick of it, because they're good songs.
Right,
but
sure, they are good songs.
I'm just ready.
Really are.
I'm just ready for the next thing. So yeah. So I have a new couple ideas for the next album. But
cool, man.
I think that's what you do as artists, is you just kind of always, you're always creating. Whether it does something or not is besides the point. I have to create. To kind of fill that void, that itch. So.
Right on. Yeah, it gives me it kind of gives me a little inspiration too, man. Because you know when you were talking about how a lot of these songs are quite older, and I think it should give a lot of musicians pause that like maybe some of the things that you have done in the past that you're like, I'm going to throw this in the closet, or I might play this out, but I don't know if it's ready to be put on an album. It's not polished. Well, you took those songs that you had those reservations about, and you made this banger of an album here.
Cool.
Yeah.
I tell my students all the time, I have old notebooks when I was in my teens of just ideas, just maybe a lyric or just a chord progression. And I still go back to those things, and I still go back to all those, whether it's a song or not, it might not be that day, but 20 years later, it might be what you're looking for and what you need,
Yeah.
Because there was a song that was supposed to be on this album that I took it off and added another song to it that was from 20 years ago, and it's one of my favorite tracks on the album. So,
right.
So anyway, who knows?
Well, cool. Tony, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah,
pleasure.
We appreciate you coming here on The Mesh, and I'm with the band to share your music and share your story with us. And you can check out Tony's album. When is it coming out? March 23rd or something like that?
March 23rd.
And this podcast will be out before, so you have a release party.
Release party at Catawba Brewing in Morganton.
Great place.
Yep. 8 o'clock on March 23rd. It's a free show. All ages. Come on out. We have a lot of special guests.
Full band?
Full band plus guests.
Plus Tony Eltora and friends and all the friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
But and if you can't make it out, you can always buy it through my website or on iTunes or CD Baby. Just TonyEltora.com.
Awesome. Well, my name is Andrew Moose, and you've been listening to I'm With The Band podcast here on The Mesh. Thank you. We will see you real soon. Thanks.
Baby, did you miss me? I've been out on the high seas, and I took you to the tall trees to see what the birds see. Yeah, it's magic. I've been transatlantic, any kind of romantic, the way I'm making.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.